So in today's video, I'm going to discuss, should you do a second postdoc? Now, of course, here the situation may be that you have completed your PhD, you have got a postdoc, and maybe you have put in a couple of years or 3 years in this postdoc. And at this point, the best thing for you would be to join a faculty position or to work in a research lab or get some job in the corporate sector. Now, it sometimes happens that you may not be able to get this because of issues about the job market, about the particular location where you are currently present, and so on. And in these cases, it may be quite tempting to go for a second postdoc at the same university or at a different university. So now the first thing I would tell you is that it is professionally better to do a postdoc at a different university. But again, I will not make too many strong comments about this because there are certain situations because of funding and because of migration status where you may be forced to stay at a given university. For example, if your green card is being processed at a US university and so on. So those cases may require you to actually continue to work at the same university, maybe do a postdoc with the same person but on a different problem. So in this case, there are situations where a person writes a proposal and gets a funding grant for a couple of years and then continues on this particular position. So very often these people are known as research scientists at a university and they may continue doing a postdoc for quite some time. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is that if you are planning to join a university position sometime in the future as a faculty, then there are sometimes age limits for these positions. And in some cases, these age limits are explicitly mentioned in some countries. And in some countries, they may not be explicitly mentioned and it may actually be barred by law to use any kind of age limit. But again, there is a reality that people always like to go for candidates in a certain age band because then they can fit in well in the department. So again, the word fit is used in these contexts. So now I will tell you a number of situations where you can go for a second postdoc. So the first case would be that you have got an opportunity to move to a much better university. And this is sometimes a situation where you may be doing a postdoc in a normal university and now you have published some good research and there is a possibility of moving to a top university and working there for some time. So this is the first situation where you could consider doing a second postdoc. The second situation could be that you are able to move to a new country for your second postdoc where the standard of research may be greater and the standard of living may also be greater. So this is the situation of many research scholars in developing countries, is that they may move to a certain country for doing their postdoc following their PhD, and then they may find a new postdoc in a different country and then move there. Now, there are some people who may consider at this point that they want to settle in those countries for a long-term research career. Because let us face it, there are fields where it is not possible to do research in many parts of the developing world, and a person has put in a lot of effort and work in their training, and this person then wants to fructify this particular work. So maybe if they are able to move to a country such as Germany or USA or Canada or UK, they may have better chances in terms of doing their research. So again, this is something which you can keep in mind. And one of the ways to make this move is to get a postdoctoral position. And sometime you can link this new postdoctoral position to a migration status in that particular country. So I know of people who have gone to the United States and then gone on further and got their green card and then continued their life there. So somebody may move from a developing country to a country like UK and then to United States and then may continue their research career there. So this is something which can be accomplished by using a second postdoc. Now there are also situations where your first postdoc may be in a country which is somewhat hard to stay in, though it may have good research facilities. For example, I know of people who went to Norway or Russia or China for their first postdoc, and then from there they went to a country like Canada and then continued their research career there through a second postdoc, and then they were able to get some faculty positions. So these are situations where you could possibly consider a second postdoc. Now, one more situation could be that you have got a second postdoc with a top person in the field. And this could be a person who has got a Nobel Prize or a top prize in your field. And you have, through years of research, now figure out who are the top people in the field, and you are very interested in working with this person. Now, research is something which is very person dependent or personality dependent. So working with somebody who is a great expert in the field has huge ramifications for your career. And so if you do get a chance to spend a couple of years with a top expert in the field, it may be worthwhile to do a postdoc with this person. Now, a second postdoc could also be useful for women in case they are going through some child rearing responsibilities and they want to postpone the time to get a faculty position, and they could probably spend this time in a second postdoc where they have more focused work. They are able to go to a lab and live inside a university campus, and this can help them to continue their professional career while they are doing some of these tasks relative to children. One more possibility is you could get a postdoc with high pay, and this is sometimes possible because pay is a relative concept, and if you look at different countries and what they pay for postdoctoral work, this pay is sometimes quite different. So there are situations where you may get a higher pay in some universities based on some named fellowships, some person in a top field who is somebody who has a lot of grant, and this person can pay you a much higher salary than a normal person. So I know of people in computer science who went to some top people in the field and they were given salaries which were 2 to 3 times what regular postdocs get. So again, this is a good concept to use. Now, whenever you do this kind of second postdoc, be careful that you do not get caught in this permanent postdoc syndrome, because unfortunately there are people in universities and research institutions who get coddled by the university system and they continue doing a postdoc much longer than it should be. And this is something which you need to keep in mind, because universities are not the best place as far as funding is concerned. Universities are typically non-profits, as are research institutions, and therefore they pay postdocs as less money as possible, because the idea of a postdoc is that this is a person who is still training to go into a leadership position down the road and then start doing some work. And therefore the pay of the postdocs is typically very less. So use the postdoc to complete your training, to complete your migration status or whatever visa or card you need to get a permanent job, and then go out into the real world and get a job, whether it is in a university, a small university, a teaching school, a company, a small company, a startup, or a research lab or center. Now, these are some of the aspects I had for you today about doing a second postdoc. Now, there is sometime a need in the sciences to do a second postdoc. It is much less the custom in technology fields, because in technology fields there is always the possibility of getting into the corporate sector, which is also quite profitable. But if you are in one of the pure science areas, then essentially postdocing is the way to go, and people sometimes do 2 postdocs to land a good faculty position. But in this case, always make sure that your second postdoc is better than your first postdoc, and therefore remember that each time you do a new stint in a university or research institution, this particular stint to some extent wipes out your previous stint. So people are likely to look at your last job when you look for your next job. So if you are going to a postdoctoral position, make sure that it is much better than your previous postdoctoral positions in most cases, at least in the sense that the university is better ranked, the person you are working with has a higher reputation in the field, and also the country which you are going to go to perform the research has a high reputation in terms of research ranking in the world. All these will help you later because the selection committees are somewhat biased toward all these aspects. So as I have mentioned in my previous videos, selection committees in universities typically look at certain aspects such as where you are from and what you have done. So of course what you have done is reflected in your list of publications in your CV, but where you are from is the list of institutions from where you have done your bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhD, first postdoc, second postdoc, and so on. So again, if you have come from more normal institutions in the past, these postdocs provide you with a chance to move to the high levels of the realm as far as university ranking is concerned. And each time you move to a higher level, your previous level is actually wiped out. So it's similar to playing a computer game where the maximum score which you have made in the computer game is the one which sticks with your name whenever you go to play the computer game for the next time. So again, think of this whole process as kind of a computer game in which you are trying to get better and better scores. So again, these are some thoughts I had for you regarding a second postdoc, and this is based on some questions some people asked me when they have finished their first postdoc. And I hope this video is useful to you. Stay tuned to my channel for more such videos. Thank you very much.